Morning everyone, it's Carol here at Oak House Journals and it's time for another Margarete Miller assignment. So I've got my prompts here for assignment number 19. I've got my working piece of paper here and my prompt choices under here and dotted around me actually. So the first prompt is a hand or hands in the plural. So I've got this young lady and as you can see she's got hands there. Doesn't matter that they're cut off, I have an idea in mind for what I can do with that, but that was the best I could come up with for this prompt. The second prompt is 2 postage stamps. Well, I'm cheating a little bit because I've got a vellum image of a post-it stamp and I'm going to be using that one, and I have my box of postage stamps off to one side, so I'll be choosing another one out of here. Not sure which yet, but I've got it to one side. The third prompt is a single word that inspires you. Well, I've gone for this one, and as you can see it says handcrafted, because absolutely anything that is handmade or handcrafted absolutely inspires me, whether it's something that I do as one of my hobbies such as embroidery or paper crafting or bookbinding or something along those lines. I'm just fascinated by how people can display their talents and their artistic creativity, so it always inspires me, it always makes me want to have a go. I can't paint, I'm no good at metalwork, I'm no good at woodwork or pottery, but if I see somebody that's making something, I want to have a go, so it always inspires me. So that's why I've gone for that word. I'm just going to pop it up there ahead of me. The next prompt is a mountain or a hill, and initially I chose this, but actually I've decided that I'm going to go with this one. And the reason for that is because there's a pop of red there which I think I can make use of. Don't think I'll use this unless I can pull in a postage stamp that might have that colour, but I can certainly make use of that pop of red. The next prompt is a piece from a calendar or a planner. So I've got these 2 little books here. This one is a general calendar, as you can see there, and it's just one of these little Asian calendars. So I'm going to take a page out of that, and actually that's a loose page, so I'll make use of that one. Or I might use this one. This is, I would say, a calendar planner, because again these are little pieces of paper with one of those perpetual calendars on it, so I could equally use one of those. So either of these are going to come into play for that prompt. And finally, the bonus, a pattern with circles or dots. Well, I was a bit limited with this one, and I was casting around for ages trying to come up with something that I could use, and then last night we had these all butter cheddar biscuits with some cheese, and I thought I could use maybe a portion of this, and that's why I wanted that red in that image, because if I do use this then I've got red circles on here. Not quite a pattern as such, or if it is, it's a random pattern, but I think that would hit the prompt. Or the other thing I thought I could use is this. Now these are little washi dots. You will have seen me use these in the past, and one's just come off on my thumb there, so let me pop it back on its piece of paper. There we go. As I say, it doesn't want to go on there. As I say, these are just washi dots, and I could use these. Again, they're not in a particular pattern other than they're in a row, but I could use these. Now, it would take me forever to stick these all over my piece if I decided to use it. So what I did was I went into the study and I just printed an image of these washi dots onto just a normal copier paper. Let me just roll this up quickly. There we go. My trusty hairband around it to hold it in place. As I say, I went into the study and I just printed off a strip, and I could use that as part of my background. Again, the only pattern we've got there are straight lines, but I think again it would hit the prompt. So let me see what I can create this week. No great idea in mind, but I'm sure I can come up with something. So I'm just going to clear the decks here, put my prompts ahead of me as I always do, and get started. So the first thing I think I need to do is do some trimming down. So I'm going to trim this strip away from the excess scrap paper. I'm going to trim this image down just to its natural border because I don't know how much of this I'm going to use and in what orientation. And similarly with this, I'm just going to trim this down so that it fits inside my working area on my background piece. And again, I may well trim it down some more later on, but for now I'm just going to trim it to roughly inside that working border. So I'll be back when that's done. Okay, what have we got? Well, I've trimmed this one all the way around. I've left this on the bottom here because I'm not sure yet how I want this placed. It did have a natural fold in it, so I've left that in it, and actually it gives me the opportunity, if I do that, to have it lower down on my page. I've trimmed this one all the way around. I've trimmed off a portion of that will fit inside my border. Well, actually it's slightly out looking at that there, but that's not a problem. I can trim it down some more and have these two pieces left over. And the reason I didn't choose these is because there's gaps in them. So I'm just going to pop those off to one side. Let's see what I can do with this. I had an idea that I could perhaps put that, or the mountain, resting on her hand and get rid of the orange and have it something like that, in which case it sits there nicely and I've got that touch of red. So let's just pop that on here. I'm lining her up with the edges. Obviously this one is bigger because I'm not sure how it's going to go at the moment. It's a shame actually to lose that pop of colour and also to lose the lake. But for now, I'm just going to go with the flow and have it like that. If I bring it down to my bottom margin, something like that, maybe I could put this up here and go with the black and the brown, or maybe even just the black. Oh, I like that, to pick up the black tones. As always, I'm just auditioning at the moment until I get a feel for how I want this to look. I mean, actually that could work, and chop that down there. Feels like I've got too much going on here. It's all fighting to be the focal element. That's not much better, but it still goes. I thought with this I could cover up her face, and I've ripped out two of these pieces. Initially I ripped out one of these, which is a lot bigger than that, so I've trimmed it down and I could have that sat in there like that. But I'm actually liking this one better because it's got a tiny little pop of red in various places and picks up the red of that. Take this one out and put that one in. Also covers up the Hong Kong because we don't need that. That one sits quite nicely, and I'm thinking that if let's pull this one in, trim that off there. It's very staggered and layered, but it does work. What I don't like is this bit down here. So I could always use another portion of this in black along the bottom, and that kind of gives a uniformity to everything. But the other thing is I've got to get in another stamp and also this. So that could go on the bottom there. It ties in with the brown of her hands and her arms. It's not so intrusive. So I'm kind of thinking something like that for my design, but I need to get in another postage stamp. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim this image down, and I'm going to try and find another postage stamp that will work. And then I think I've more or less got what I'm going to go with for this collage this week. Not very inspiring, but I did struggle with the prompts this week. So let me go and have a root in my rather overfull stamp box and see what I can come up with, and see if there's anything in this design that will inspire me in terms of my stamp choice. So give me a few days to go through this lot and I'll be back. I've had a good route round my stamps, and I can't really find anything that I think will go with this particularly well, other than this one, and it's not perfect. I could have it down there to create a little bit of overlapping down here, but I'm not really happy with it. It hides most of the hands. So I'm going to flip this around, this bottom image here, and see if I can come up with anything better. get rid of these two, I'm afraid, which is a shame because I thought they would be quite nice to give me a pop of colour on here. Maybe stagger it something like that, even a bit more, so that I can just get that horizon and jagged piece of rock above my lady. Again, I've got this issue of the neck. I do have this left over, so let's see if I can make use of that. Maybe pop that in there. Yeah, I'm liking that better. Maybe make use of this. Could go down there to add some more interest at the bottom, maybe half and half like that. Liking the colour tones of these. Or I could perhaps have it like that. And again, make some staggering down there. I think I like it. I think I like that. What isn't sitting right with me now is down here. So I'd probably reduce this a little bit so that I don't get so much of her arm showing. Or failing that, I could bring it down so there's less of this because it'll be chopped off. And then the other thing would be to reduce a little bit of the sky up there. Just take off maybe about 1 centimetre of sky. And I think that would leave it a lot more balanced. So I'm going to go with that. So I'm going to trim that across the bottom there. I'm going to be brave. I'm going to take off that much, shy of 1 centimetre at the top there. So I've trimmed those pieces down. Perhaps I could have got away with trimming a bit more of the sky up here, but I didn't want to get rid of too much of the dark. I'm happy with how it looks now. So I'm going to commit to this layout. I'm going to glue everything together and then I'll come back and quickly go through the prompts with you. So there we go, everybody. Best efforts for this week. Not my finest performance, but best I could come up with these prompts. So very quickly going through them. A hand or hands. Well, I've got a pair of hands here. 2 postage stamps. Well, I've got a real one and a faux vellum one here. A single word that inspires you. I've got my handcrafted word down the side there. A mountain or hill. Well, I've got a mountain range here and a little bit more down there for good measure. A piece of a calendar or a planner. Well, I've got that Asian piece there. And finally, a pattern with circles or dots. Well, I've got my piece across the top there and didn't even entertain using this one when it came down to it. So as I say, not my finest effort, but yeah, it's not too bad, I think. At least I have a bit of a collage going on here. I think I probably would have liked more staggering here if I could have got it, but yeah, overall, I'm happy with it. So thank you as always, everybody, for watching. Really do appreciate your company, and I hope you'll join me next week. Until then, have a great week. From me, bye-bye now.